years ago, the name Justin Bieber meant bratty bangs, purple hoodies, and fans fainting at the sound of baby. Today, a grainy beach clip shows a slumped-over superstar mumbling at paparazzi, while the internet decides whether to pity or mock him. Somewhere between those two images lies a story that's equal parts fairy tale and cautionary nightmare. How did the kid who sold innocence end up paying debts bigger than some Fortune 500 CEOs, while tabloids still whisper he's about to lose his marriage, his faith, even his mind? Stick around, because every time you think you've heard the worst, the next twist hits harder. Picture a narrow attic bedroom on Willow Street, where the wallpaper is peeling, the radiator hisses all winter, and every surface doubles as a drum. While most kids his age were swapping Pokémon cards, 10-year-old Justin was timing paradiddles on pots and pans, matching the beat he heard on the radio so perfectly that neighbors thought someone had left a metronome running. His mom, Patty, stretched welfare dollars until they squeaked, scooping groceries off clearance racks, skipping dinners so he could have seconds, and still scraping together $20 for a secondhand djembe she found at a thrift shop. That beat-up drum became his passport out of small-town Ontario. Saturday mornings, Patty set up a folding chair on Stratford's main drag, and Justin, barely tall enough to keep the guitar from scraping the sidewalk, belted out Neo covers while theater-goers tossed loonies into an open case. People slowed, then stopped, then called friends to come listen. "You gotta see this kid. He sounds like a radio." One summer, he cleared almost $3,000 in tips, enough to pay the light bill and finance their first ever vacation. A 2-day blitz through Disneyland that convinced him dreams could be real destinations. Then came Stratford Idol. Justin, the youngest contestant by 3 years, strode onto the community center stage in a crooked tie, flipping instantly from shy kid to born entertainer. Patty filmed every round on a grainy camcorder, the kind that fuzzes whenever the lights change. Second place that night felt like heartbreak, until Justin begged to upload the footage for distant relatives. YouTube was barely 2 years old. Viral wasn't a business model. It was an accident. Yet clicks trickled in, then flooded, comments piling up from Sydney to Sao Paulo. "This kid's got pipes." Within months, a channel meant for grandma became a magnet for managers who smelled the next Michael Jackson. Each new cover, Usher, Alicia Keys, Justin Timberlake, drew another wave of digital cheers, and the algorithm kept serving him up to a bigger audience. YouTube's sidebar turned his bedroom into a global stage, but Patty's inbox morphed into a feeding frenzy of record exec emails. Delete, delete, delete. She trusted none of them. Until one relentless message slipped through. "Fly to Atlanta. Meet Usher. No strings attached." Mom froze. Justin's eyes lit up. And that's when the story shifts from street corner pocket change to million-dollar contracts, because a talent scout named Scooter Braun had just locked onto their signal, and he didn't plan on losing it. Next up, the golden ticket that came with iron chains. The story of Justin Bieber's rise almost never happened. Patty Millette had already deleted dozens of emails from so-called talent scouts who smelled money in her son's voice. She wasn't about to let industry wolves chew him up, especially not after what she'd been through in her own life. But Scooter Braun wasn't just another guy with an inbox pitch. He was obsessive and strategic. Scooter had been working in the music world for years, rubbing elbows with the likes of Ludacris, Britney Spears, and Eminem. But when he accidentally stumbled upon Justin's grainy YouTube video, just a kid in a hoodie singing with the confidence of a seasoned R&B star, he didn't just watch. He hunted. He tracked down the Stratford theater where Justin had busked. He called the school board. He cold emailed neighbors. And finally, somehow he reached Patty. The offer? A free trip to Atlanta? No pressure. Just come down, meet Usher, record a few demos, and see what happens. It wasn't a label pitch. It was a charm offensive. Patty hesitated, but Justin, his face lit up. "When do we go?" he asked, already imagining studio lights and skyscrapers. That moment, naive and innocent, would change everything. In Atlanta, the red carpet rolled out. Scooter hosted them in a luxury penthouse. Justin recorded polished demos with pro producers. Then came the real moment. A sit-down with Usher, the very artist whose songs he used to cover in his bedroom mirror. It was surreal. Their chemistry was instant. Usher even took him under his wing, saying the kid had that thing you can't teach. But behind the scenes, Scooter was already drawing up paperwork. In 2008, Justin signed to a joint venture called RBMG, Scooter Braun, and Usher's new imprint, under a 360 deal with Island Records. He was just 13 years old. Here's the catch. 360 deals sound sweet when you're a broke kid with a big dream. They front the money, they bankroll the tours, and they market you to the world. But in exchange, they own everything. Not just your albums, your merch, your concert revenue, your likeness, and most importantly, your masters. The songs you pour your soul into, they belong to someone else, forever. At the time, it felt like a lottery ticket. Private jets, hit makers, the full celebrity machine. But Justin didn't just give them his voice, he gave them control. He was officially a product, and business was about to boom. Coming up, the world meets Bieber, and so do the Predators. When One Time hit radio in mid-2009, the 15-year-old from Stratford still hadn't released an album. Yet Ellen's Twitter followers campaigned him onto daytime TV. Crowds clogged shopping mall balconies just to glimpse his hair flip, and police had to shut down meet and greets from Long Island to Sydney. By the time My World 2.0 dropped in March 2010, Bieber had already done what no solo artist ever had: land 4 top 40 singles before a debut album. Baby rocketed to #1. One on YouTube, simultaneously the most viewed and most disliked clip in site history, while frantic fans coined a medical-sounding diagnosis, Bieber fever, for the fainting, crying, even panic attack episodes erupting outside every venue. He serenaded the first family at the White House Easter egg roll, outsold Michael Jackson on Billboard, and became the world's most searched person. But every deafening scream drowned out a warning his team refused to hear. The moment Bieber fever turned into big business, Justin's life became a conveyor belt. Record, rehearse, red-eye flight, repeat. By 16, he was headlining a 125-date arena run that hopscotched 5 continents, sometimes 3 cities in 4 nights. Crew members joked his bedroom was whatever hotel hallway had the least fans. Off stage, a different grind revved up. Paparazzi tailing him at 100 miles per hour on the LA freeway. Reporters asking a 15-year-old for the sex talk. And talk show hosts daring him to choose which 40-something panelist he'd date. Even his attempt to sneak a normal weekend in Canada failed. He hid his passport so the Today Show couldn't fly him back, only to be pressured into revealing it and hustled straight onto the set. Physically, the toll showed fast. Voice cracks mid-set, routine IV fluids backstage, and that London night in 2013 when he collapsed, took oxygen for 20 minutes, then finished the show because refunds weren't an option. Emotionally, the warning signs were subtler. An offhand Vanity Fair confession. I work so much I sometimes forget I'm a kid. And a defensive tweet storm whenever critics mocked his hair, his pitch, or his mom. Managers, marketers, even the White House wanted more dates, more merch, more Bieber. But every extra encore tightened a spring inside him, and the recoil would slam back harder than anyone on Team Bieber, or the world, was prepared for. Within a single year, the kid who once begged haters, "Don't wait for me to mess up," started handing them headlines on a silver platter. First came the petty stuff. Security cams caught him egg-bombing a neighbor's mansion. The repair bill topped $20,000, and a leaked video showed him urinating in a nightclub mop bucket while shouting, Bill Clinton, then half-heartedly apologizing when the former president actually phoned him. But the stunts kept scaling. German customs seized his capuchin monkey. Instead of filing paperwork, Justin simply left the poor animal behind. In London, he staggered off stage short of breath, only to lunge at paparazzi outside his hotel the next morning. "I'll beat the beep out of you," he screamed while bodyguards dragged him into a van. The same week he toured the Anne Frank house and signed the guest book, she would have been a belieber. Even loyal fans cringed. January 2014 proved the breaking point. Miami police clocked him drag racing a yellow Lamborghini at twice the speed limit. His own admission, weed, Xanax, and beer were in his system. The smirking mugshot went viral, cementing a new caricature, spoiled rich kid on a meltdown loop. Soon after, two separate videos surfaced of 14-year-old Justin laughing through racist jokes and slurs. Radio stations pulled his songs. China banned him outright for bad behavior. What looked like a teenage rebellion was really a pressure valve exploding. Every prank, ticket, and cringe quote, a flare signaling something's wrong. Yet instead of slowing the machine, managers doubled down, promising a redemption era just around the corner. And the comeback plan would work, at a cost no one calculated. By the time the season's documentary rolled cameras in 2020, Justin's day planner looked less like a pop star's and more like a triage chart. Doctors finally pinned the name Lyme disease to the mystery fevers, joint pain, and brain fog that left him forgetting lyrics he'd sung 1,000 times. Blood work piled on a second label, chronic Epstein-Barr, which meant fatigue so deep he could sleep 12 hours and wake up shaking. A Beverly Hills psychiatrist glanced at one visit and wrote bipolar, prescribing lithium that flattened his personality but never silenced the dizziness. The real diagnosis came later from a brain scan specialist who told him, "Your wiring's fried from stress, not mania." While specialists debated pills, Justin reached for anything that dulled the panic. Lean to steady the tremors, Xanax to blunt stage fright, THC cartridges to quiet the tinnitus hiss inside his head. Bodyguards timed hallway checks like neonatal nurses. Every 2 hours, hand to chest. Count the breaths. Make sure the meal ticket's still inhaled. He confessed to waking up mid-tour, unable to feel his limbs, convinced he'd overdosed in his sleep. "I was 19 with a defibrillator crew," he later joked, but the laugh never reached his eyes. Desperate for deliverance, he swapped IV bags for baptismal pools. First stop, Hillsong, NYC, where pastor to the stars, Carl Lentz, dunked him in a Manhattan bathtub and preached that clean living would cure chronic sin and chronic illness. 6 years later, Lentz was fired for adultery, pill abuse, and moral failures. Justin pivoted to Judah Smith's church home. Hipper branding, same stadium sermons, but that refuge cracked too. Smith landed a board seat at Drew House, Justin's fashion line. Co-founder Ryan Good quit on the spot, calling Churchum a cult with merch. Tabloids traced church tithes to Seattle condos, and Reddit detectives posted spreadsheets showing the pastor's speaking gig fees doubled whenever Justin sat in the front row. His supposed safe havens were just new storefronts for people selling redemption by the hour. The drugs numbed, the doctors probed, the pastors prayed, yet the headaches throbbed and the bank statements bled. Next up, the financial freefall that proved even miracles have payment plans. Canceling the Justice World Tour triggered a $26 million repayment to promoter AEG, plus $5.5 million more in back commissions to Braun. Desperate, Bieber sold his publishing catalog in early 2023 for $200 million, half what he'd net if he'd owned his masters. The broker, Lou Taylor, the same business manager tied to Britney Spears' infamous conservatorship. Insiders claim the sale closed weeks early, costing him a fat tax credit. And just when the debt storm peaked, an old ally re-entered the picture. Yesterday, people confirmed a $31 million settlement wiping the Braun feud off the books. TMZ caught Scooter praising Bieber's brand new album Swag, calling it his most honest yet. The truce frees Justin to tour again, but fans wonder if history will repeat. He still skips Churchum services amid pastor drama, and tabloid lenses zoomed in on trembling hands during a studio live stream. And if the finances are finally balanced, what about the marriage the internet thinks is seconds from collapse? Mallorca paparazzi just caught Justin and Haley wrapped in beach towel PDA with Baby Jack Blues toddling nearby, an Instagram salvo aimed at divorce rumors. Yet the same feed shows cryptic captions about being drained, plus a new single, Walking Away. That sounds suspiciously like a goodbye letter. Are they stronger than ever, or posting proof because everything's cracking? The only certainty, every kiss, every grimace, Every late-night tweet is monetized by someone, which leads to the final, brutal question. Justin Bieber once dreamed of buying his mom a house. Instead, he bought the world a spectacle it refuses to turn off. The label executives got their billions, the managers their commissions, the pastors their tithes. What the star got was a lifetime mortgage on his own privacy. Even after paying the debts and patching old feuds, he's still trending. If not for hits, then for health scares and marriage bets. So ask yourself, if a teenage dream can cost this much, how many zeros would you charge for your own? Stick around. The next headline drops any minute and the meter's still running.